So having Rapid users simply just do what they do every day effectively, having that information port into a used car manager's hands, respectively, is priceless. So now we literally have added zero touch and all reward for every user involved between VinCue and Rapid. It's very rare to find an ecosystem or a combination of integration partners that create that experience for a user. And it's not rare because technologists don't want to do it. It's really rare because it's very difficult.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cue the Next Leader. I am Angela Rizzo, your host, joined today by Ewart Anderson, EVP of Rapid Recon, a Velo company. Ewart, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Angela. Glad to be here.
It's so great to see you. I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell everybody your name, what you do, who you work for, and then we'll get right into the interview.
I'm Ewart Anderson, as Angela mentioned, the EVP of our Velo dealership division, which includes Rapid Recon, and I'm very fortunate to have Rapid in our brand ecosystem. I'm responsible for 5 brands total at Velo, and those brands include, in addition to Rapid, Text to Drive, Velocity Automotive, Dealer Logics, and Service Lane eAdvisor. Across those 5 brands, we've got 7,300 plus dealerships, rooftops that we serve in the market, which is a big footprint. And each of those have at least one product. And yeah, I'm responsible for our operations and P&L across the division holistically, includes everything from go-to-market, product innovation, product delivery, and just delighting our customers.
Oh, that's great. How long have you been in automotive?
I've been in automotive just under 5 years, and it's been awesome to learn the automotive space specifically. The most near and dear industry that I've been a part of that's relative is retail. Actually, general retail is really similar to the variable side of automotive, and even some of the fixed ops elements of automotive too. So I've been in retail about 10 years as well. On top of that.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're really excited to work with you and your team. We've been working on an integration with VinCue and Rapid Recon, where we've married fixed ops and variable ops into VinCue. And I wanted to just have you talk a little bit about what that integration really entails and what value it brings to our dealers.
So I think there are probably 2 elements of that value and benefit for dealers. One of them is very human, right? We're bringing these products together creates a really high level of transparency, which ultimately, through the reconditioning and inventory management process, creates an opportunity for a dealer to increase and improve their profit margin. And the human side of that is they get to keep their employees engaged actively and keep food going on the tables of every family that has an employee working for that dealer, right? Dealers are typically pillars in the community. It's very human as to the effect that we expect our integration and our software as a service and partnerships to have for our dealers. We know that at the end of the day, like they're trying to generate as much profit as possible, keep employees engaged and happy. And then there's another piece that relates to the in the job satisfaction of the employee and the dealer. And that's having this integration, allow for what I would call an enabled process that keeps an employee focused on the software and the user experience that's important to them day to day without having to add one more system to the equation, one more user experience to the equation. It's all fully integrated based on that persona. If you're in the variable side and you're spending time in VinCue, you are not getting an added login. You're not getting an added place to go. It's all centralized there for you, made as simple as possible to give you more visibility, more efficiency with no more added work. Right. And I guess if you take those 2 things and bring kind of dull them down to one financial outcome, it's the bottom line. It's the margin for every used vehicle, every purchased traded vehicle, auction acquired vehicle, wholesale acquired vehicle, expediting that speed to sale process for a dealer, creating accountability in the actual service lane and the variable side. And that ultimately, allows those 2 teams who typically are not as easy to get to play nice with each other. It allows them to play nice with each other and kind of harmoniously, partner. And I think that's something really unique about this integration to market.
And let's talk a little bit about Rapid Recon for those folks listening who might not be aware of Rapid Recon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is, what it does, et cetera?
So Rapid was started, over a decade and a half ago, and we've got a lot of experience in the market. We've hired, frankly, a lot of folks out of the market to help us make sure that, our customers became our team and that we could deliver to new customers the best in class reconditioning workflow management system. And that's what we've become. We are the leader in that space. Dennis McGinn was the godfather of reconditioning for a very long time. He's our founder. He's still on our strategic leadership team and advises with us. And being able to bring 15 plus years plus well over 100 years of aggregated experience across our team of true reconditioning management. We've actually put together a best in class platform that allows dealers to create more efficiency and more visibility in the reconditioning cycle from the time of purchase to the time of getting that car to sell. And what does that do at the end of the day? It allows them to better optimize how they buy. So appraisal, right? Starting with the appraisal. It allows them to also then target and expedite opportunities within the workflow of reconditioning itself to get rid of bottlenecks, speed up that time to sell. If their time to sell or time to line, so to speak, was 19 days, we want to get that down to single digits. And that's a serious profit lever for a dealer to be able to pull. Maybe just one quick metric to kind of tie a number to that. Profits for dealers, particularly on used vehicles, is actually at an all-time low in the last 18 months. Like since kind of pre-COVID numbers, if you look at the last 18 months to 24 months, profits on used vehicles are down roughly 33, 34%, based on recent studies that go as recent as October, November. So when you take a step back from that and you look at, where are the opportunities for our dealers to really shore up some real margin, it's not in new car sales. It's specifically in the reconditioning cycle, right? That really allows a dealer to own their own destiny from a margin perspective. And Rapid is keen, to help a dealer do that. We support today roughly 2,300 dealers on Rapid specifically. So we have a very sizable footprint with some of the largest dealer groups in the world using our platform today.
Yeah, and the phrase "time is money" really hits home here
Hmm.
with dealerships, right? Because the quicker you can get that car to the line, the faster you can turn it, right? And
That's right.
so I think that I'm surprised that it's the number's 2,300 and not much higher. That's not a dig on you or on
Sure.
Rapid, but I would think that there would be more dealerships using this capability. What do you see in terms of future growth and other dealers kind of catching on?
Yeah, I think dealers are in a tough spot, to be honest. At times when they think about how should they go acquire and engage partnerships like ours, and some of the similar workflow management style tools that are out in the market. And the thing that puts them in a tough place probably relates more to, or probably relates most actually to the talent landscape challenge they're facing today, right? So dealers are struggling to acquire and retain top talent in their dealerships, whether it's variable or fixed, and particularly in fixed, the turnover rate's at an all-time high, and I think having them learn new tools, having them have multiple places to go, access and interact with information. And technology is difficult, to create accountability to go do that, within the team, and I think dealers are hesitant to cast that accountability lens on their team. Equally, dealers are also what I found and what our team has found. Dealers are also now starting to embrace the need for visibility, no matter what that light might shine on, right? And it may reflect a really huge void in missed opportunities for appraisals where they've gotten upside down on a vehicle that would have been caught with the really effective reconditioning and appraisal process. And they're starting to accept, hey, we need to do something different. And that's actually what's escalated, our growth recently. We've really leaned in with dealers on that need for that visibility, and maybe alongside the technology, some partnership from our performance managers and our implementations, consultants out in the field to really help dealers understand like, hey, it's not just a technology, it's a system. It does include like there's no value without the human behind it, right? Both the user and our consultants helping and driving that value prop. And I think what we found is that dealers that embrace that wind up actually using technology less, and they're able to then glean from the tech decision making data that allows them to go, really do what's important, which is move vehicles forward and deal with the customer and team element, the element that only humans can do, right? So being able to give them tech that allows them to do that, I think that's kind of like where we see the ultimate kind of evolution of technology in a dealership going is it's not about technology that actually just looks sexy. It's really about or adds more clicks to the day or more user interfaces to the day. It's about technologies that unify, that create simple experiences for technicians and for service managers, for variable managers to collaborate seamlessly and easily in one simple dashboard where they typically live every day, not some new space. And I think now that dealers are seeing that that's what all of us technology, offerings in the market have to bear, to be honest, like we all need to accept that. They're seeing that we're starting to build product around it, right? And we're starting to deliver those types of experiences, and we're committed to doing that. And I think that's opening up the aperture for a lot of dealers to now embrace technology like a Rapid Recon and other workflow management tools in the market versus what they would do 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, you said something interesting that I want to like dive into, and it
Mhm.
it has to do with people not having a new system, but being able to work in the system they're working in and still collaborate
Mhm.
with, people in other groups. And from what I know of the integration, you've got your used car manager as an example, will be working in VINCUE, looking at inventory management, appraisals, merchandising, acquisitions, everything that the used car manager does. And then you've got your fixed ops person, service, looking at the reconditioning in Rapid Recon, and the data is shared. Can you talk a little bit about why this integration is so important?
Sure, sure. And you hit it on the head too. I think from a used car manager perspective, UCM is basically, leveraging inspection data pulled from the Rapid user, i.e. the technician, in the actual service bay. They're pulling that data, right out of VinCue. They can see it in VinCue, on their standard user experience as it sits today, all through a really seamless, real-time API connection. So it's very, very simple for them, and it all it does is add value without adding any lift. That's nirvana, right? That's nirvana for a used car manager. Equally, the technician doesn't now have to, and the service manager by extension, doesn't now have to somehow aggregate data out of some workflow tool and then get that into some other platform. Like they don't need to share that information in some spreadsheet or on a whiteboard. It's all visible in VinCue because of the integration out of Rapid, right? So having Rapid users simply just do what they do every day effectively, having that information port into a used car manager's hands, respectively, is priceless. So now we literally have added zero touch and all reward for every user involved between VinCue and Rapid. It's very rare to find an ecosystem or a combination of integration partners that create that experience for a user. And it's not rare because technologists don't want to do it. It's really rare because it's very difficult,
Mhm.
right?
Well,
Whether it's approving and declining work items for the used car manager, or if it's checking critical status changes in VinCue, all of that is visible through those real time integrations, right? So it's a pretty high stakes type scenario for a used car manager, particularly because now they can get real time updates that are consistent and accurate versus having to kind of get anecdotal updates by passerbys throughout the day. Like having two updates throughout the day is not sufficient. They need to be able to on their phones real time get right to that information.
right. And they will have the ability to either accept or deny the changes, right? Uh,
Correct.
so the used car manager can look at, oh, these here are the 10 recon items. do these five. And then he can look at whatever the gross profit's going to be or the net profit, and then calculate that into the appraisal of the vehicle, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that process?
So the used car manager's ability to not only have visibility to the actual workflow and the work items and the status, but to interact with that status in VinCue without ever having to get in Rapid is invaluable, right? And that's based on feedback directly from dozens of used car managers who helped us to, ultimately build out this integration, taking in that user feedback along the way. So when you think about a used car manager being able to do that inside of VinCue, and that integration with Rapid, they're actually prioritizing work items, which ultimately leads to a higher profitability, right? We can fulfill 10 of the 10 work items proposed, and the profit margin or gross margin will be X. Or alongside that, there will be, maybe 5 more days in cycle as well, which has a cost. Or we can knock out 5 of those work items and prioritize those per the used car manager's feedback. And now the gross margin is X times 1.5 because we've carved out those 5 days that we would have taken to do work that ultimately wouldn't have impacted the value of the sale. Right. So there's certainly a balance that a used car manager has the opportunity to control. And ultimately that's one of the many examples of how fixed and variable, collaboration is ultimately optimized by this integration, right? It's actually a very clear prioritization line between used car managers and the service and fixed op space, within the dealership.
You also said something that kind of highlighted something for me, and it has to do with focusing on the dealers and their feedback. I know at VinCue, we spend a lot of time talking to dealers in implementing features and capabilities that they ask for, because at the end of the day, it's about them, not us. Can you
Correct.
talk a little bit about your philosophy and how you support your dealers?
Absolutely. So I think maybe the biggest takeaway, that I would want to communicate as a response to that question would be centered around our focus on helping dealers to fireproof, not just firefight. So every dealer's, facing a hill to climb, whether it's profitability, it's managing and retaining talent, it's optimizing their processes, it's gaining more visibility and how they can, better operate, et cetera, et cetera. And technology is a big part of that, right? It's one of the main levers to pull there. But doing that in a vacuum and not getting their feedback along the way, not taking into account the actual user, experience and plight day to day, is it would be a mistake. So what we do on a couple of fronts to accomplish that is, one, we make sure that from a product perspective, we are actively soliciting and ongoing, it never ends, soliciting feedback from our dealers on every feature, every product that we have, within reason. So we are not looking to hear that it's working great. We are looking to hear how it can be better, right? And that's like we celebrate. We're excited to hear that things are positive, but we ultimately want to hear how we can lessen their touch, lessen their time spent between systems, and increase their time spent with customers and vehicles, right? Because at the end of the day, that's how they make money. They make money with vehicles and customers. They do not make money horsing around in varying products, right?
Exactly.
So that's number one. Number two is we do also take into account dealer demographic. So some demographics, whether it's, OEM related, it's volume and size related, it's regionally affiliated, there are varying factors that will directly influence a dealer's feedback, right? So we want to make sure that within reason, we're not necessarily customizing software for every dealer. That wouldn't be very scalable. And ultimately, that would impact the dealer's experience negatively. But instead, we are taking into account that certain dealers of this volume and size need X experience, right? And dealers of this volume and size, and maybe this OEM affiliation or affiliated with a large dealer group versus mid-size or small, need Y experience. And we take that into account as we deliver product, right? It's got to be as out of the box as possible, so to speak, so that they can get started quickly. But it's also got to be as fungible and flexible as possible so that we can accommodate the need of the dealer in their location based on their volume and their team. And I think taking that into account for us, we're kind of in that perfect size and business evolution stage ourselves where we can do that. We're in 7,300 dealers, but we're also not so big that we're not easy to pivot and move, right? And we move fairly quickly. And our market footprint, frankly, has showcased that over the last, 36 months or so. I guess the last thing I would share, Angela, on that topic of how we get that feedback is we do have is somewhat of a what I would call an informal group of dealers that we've known for a long time and we love and trust, and particularly, and they are really candid with us about things that are emerging, things they're finding that maybe have nothing to do with our technology, but we can help them solve. And then they also encourage us to look at a variety of partnerships and integrations, and we're very open to those things. We're definitely a partner centric business, so we like to pursue and get that feedback from dealers respectively, and then that allows us to go out and maybe create value that is unique to for our dealers that maybe other dealers won't be able to secure.
Yeah, and it's so true because we find that by working with you and your teams, we're coming at this from the same approach and same perspective,
Hmm.
right? And we're a small, nimble company as well.
Hmm.
And you get two people in a room, and we can decide what do we want to do, right?
That's
You can
right.
come and meet with Chris or Danny and say, well, our dealers want, okay, let's figure it out and let's get it done. And we're so excited about being able to work with you guys. The integration is going really well. I think we're going to
Hmm.
be doing testing very soon, and then roll out the beta testing to a certain number of dealers. That's the other thing. We've got to get our dealers that are Rapid dealers, that are VinCue dealers, that are both testing, beta testing, and helping us make sure that this thing is ready for prime time before we release it.
That's right.
So I think that approach and that perspective is really important. And then I also love what you said about, it can't be a one size fits all. You've got to
Mhm.
think about, independent dealers, dealer groups, large franchises. You have to be able to look at, all right, not all needs are the same. It has to be standardized enough so we can get it out, but then we have to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those specific dealers.
That's right. And you just hit a point that is maybe worth double clicking on too. And that's the opportunity that we have when servicing so many dealers today, and the exposure that we have, even outside of dealerships, frankly, like to take one big step back, Velo has three divisions, right? So the dealership division is the division I'm responsible for. It is our largest division from just an overall footprint perspective. But if you look at the other two divisions, we have an integrated payments division, and we have a division that services shops as well, aftermarket, and the data that we get, the information that we get by having so much automotive industry service centered exposure is unfathomable. I mean, it is a substantial amount of data that allows us to inform our dealers, bringing it back to dealership. It allows us to inform our dealers rather of what's happening in the market and what they can do with that information to fireproof, right? So when we look at all of our dealerships across the board, the 2,300 or so that are using Rapid specifically, and how they create value without sharing any confidential information, we're able to take themes and consult our dealers really effectively on top of the technology optimizing, what they do day to day. And that's a the feedback we get ultimately is that element of our business and our culture is unique. That we really aren't interested in just selling a product. We are interested in them getting value that's quantifiable, because we're going to point out that we're going to quantify that to them frequently. And that partnership, along with the trust that we build, should be why they're with us. It shouldn't just be because the product looks cool. It shouldn't just be because it's something that the market's using on a broad scale. Those are all great things. But at the end of the day, dealers are looking to generate profit so that they can keep food on the families of those that work there. And maybe even by extension, extend, optimized cost and savings to consumers along the way when the dealer's costs are optimized. And we help them do that. And I think that does, having all that data, helping dealers make decisions and consulting is really a big part of our value proposition.
Yeah, and it sounds very similar to our approach as well. Where
It
we
is.
don't want just this relationship where, somebody buys the software and you never hear from them again, and then you
Right.
don't, and then they leave. We want long lasting relationships with these dealers, and we want to elevate the dealer body. And if
Hmm.
our software can help them do that, help them be more profitable, then we all win.
That's exactly right, Angela. And maybe that ties into something that you were planning to get to at some point too, which is, maybe a bit of personal excitement and organizational excitement on our behalf as it relates to our integration and partnership with VinCue, where that's those similarities in culture, the expectation, and the frankly the self-imposed accountability we both have organizationally to drive value for dealers first, knowing that if we take care of the dealer first, everything else follows positively. That alignment is a big part of why we're so excited to have this partnership. We feel that having that alignment allows us to now go in and put our agendas aside outside of the dealer, right? The dealer's the agenda. That's it. And being able to do that with a really, frankly, well-known growing partner like VinCue too, that's already made its name in the market, is already creating a lot of disruption positively. That's a good thing for every dealer we serve.
And I'm in a very unique position because not only am I doing interviews right now with some of our high level integration partners, but I also talk to customers all the time.
Sure.
And man, it's like the best job you could have because the dealers are excited about what we're doing and excited about their business. And the one thing I hear more often than not is that we really listen to them, and if there's
Mm.
something that they need, we go put it in the system, right, so that they can
Right.
leverage that capability. Earlier you mentioned listening to the dealer, getting their feedback. Does that work through your performance management teams? Can you talk a little bit about performance management and how that's such an important aspect of what you do at Rapid
Sure,
Recon?
sure. I sure can. So it's kind of similar to VinQ's model as well. Like we that post sale motion is really important for us and one of the many synergies that we share organizationally. So I think there's probably 2 points there to call out. One is that feedback does come from our performance management team to a degree. The performance management team is doing a variety of a combination rather of consulting with customers based on usage and based on what we see as performance data. So we proactively look at that data for every dealer, and we're looking for kind of red, yellow, greens, frankly, of who could be performing better. Where could they get their value more? And we're not looking to charge them more. We're looking to help them make more. And that's what it's all about, right? So our performance team will proactively go out and engage customers periodically based on their needs. Customers that are maybe having performance challenges or on the extremes to my talent mention earlier, customers who maybe have lots of turnover. Maybe a dealership has a wave of turnover over a period of time and a short period of time at that, then they just need some help. So we will get people in, even on site to go offer that consultation and that support. In addition to that, probably our biggest source of feedback volume wise is through our customer success management team. So in addition to the performance management group, we've got a bigger team of customer success managers who have a portfolio of accounts, for the lack of a better word, and a portfolio that's manageable so that they can keep constant contact with those dealers, right? And it may be a combination of tactical items that they're solving. So my two users on staff are having X, Y, and Z problem. I could use some help, and it's more than just a support ticket. I actually need some consultative help. So our CSMs can help with that. Our CSMs also are connecting live with dealers